Hello everyone. Today our goal is to draw a portrait, and you can use a magazine image or print something out from the internet, or take a portrait photo with your phone and print it out. That's fine. We're going to start off today. What you're going to need is some tissue paper. So I have some tissue paper. You might want to have some Q-tips. That's optional. Just a regular pencil with an eraser. I'm going to use the eraser today. So first, we're going to shade the paper. And what I'm going to do is with this sweeping motion, step number one is to notice I have the pencil shaved down to the graphite, and there's a lot of it, so it gives me more surface to work with. And I'm leaning it towards the paper. So if I draw like this, it's hard to get that even coverage. So if I hold it at the end, or you can just grab it, pinch it from the middle. And what I'm doing is just slowly sweeping across the surface of the paper. So already you're starting to see it become a little bit darker. There's some texture there, but we're going to get rid of that in a little bit. This is a 2B pencil, or HB pencil, just a standard pencil. Some of you just need some practice with this, just kind of your goal is to create an even coverage over the surface. And it's neither too light. I think this value is pretty good. And this really depends on the complexity of your portrait. So if you want to choose a simpler portrait with the lighting is not as complex, there's not too many shades of light and dark, that's fine. So let's see. So now I'm going to take a bit of the tissue paper, just scrunch it up, roll it up, and what I'm going to do is pinch it, and just going to do these little circles. And with the 2B, it softens up the surface. This middle gray establishes the base tone, the middle tone of your image, of what you're trying to do. And we're going to work with highlights, shadows, and middle value. So this is our middle value, our starting middle value. So we don't start with just a stark white piece of paper. We start off with a toned piece of paper, and it's we're able to make it darker and lighter in relationship to this starting shade, this area. And I want to go back in and I want to actually add more darkness to this, so more material. So I'm going to just press just a little bit harder, and this time I'm going to do a circular technique. Okay. Some of you, with your hand, you will rest it on the paper when you're drawing, and you'll get graphite on your hand. Or if you're left-handed, it gets on your left hand. So you don't want to mix your oil of your hand to the paper. So take another clean sheet of paper and just rest your hand on the portion where you're not drawing. What do you think about that? Was that helpful? So, oh yeah, let me do this oval technique, just a different direction. All these little concentric circles, and patience. Gotta have some patience. Take your time. Just an even pressure of all this mark making. So the benefits of starting with a value like a gray versus just a stark white of the paper. I think it's, in a way, it's just another way of understanding your way of relating lights and darks. So with the middle gray, it starts off with like the kind of a balancing in the middle gray. And then from there, you can pull out the highlights on the lighter parts and then the shadows. So for some people, they really like this technique because they're able to see true values and true mimicking the accurate lights and darks of your subject matter, whether it's a portrait or still life or landscape. You notice there's some darker areas here. I'm just going to work around it, just darkening the area around it, even out the surface. I think this preparation before you do the drawing, it's very important because slowly gets you into the drawing, exercises your hand, gets your mind thinking about your next steps, but having patience and really executing the surface, the lights and the darks, so it's well done. It's not sloppy. And sometimes when we rush things, it tends to look sloppy, and not all the time, but sometimes. So I'll move that paper away for right now. I just want to use that as a demonstration for those people who need the paper. Sometimes you can draw opposite direction, even tone like this, and that helps to remove some of the texture. We really don't want a lot of texture in your background. What do you think so far? Do you like this demo? Do you like? Put comments down below if you have any questions. So with look how it's kind of ground down. It's like greater sort. This is so much easier than working with just a pointed piece, pointed pencil. Okay, let's stop there. We're going to take our original blending and I like to use the one I used originally because it already has like a caked in little bit of layer of graphite, so it's not going to pull up a lot of the graphite and make it lighter again. So look at that, isn't that cool? Look at that, just really nice surface, just even, softer, blends it in, little circular motions. I think that's a great start right there. Let's move on here. Okay, so next I'm going to, this is my source image, and let me take this down just so that it doesn't move all over the place. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do some studies here. I'm going to try to draw with a line this figure, and I'm going to draw some elevation lines. So I'm going to just draw across from the top of the head. There's the bottom of the chin right there. This is a good exercise for measuring and your proportion. Okay, and then let's see, this is, put it against the head, there's just a slight angle. I'll draw, that's the left side of the head. Let's see, what's the width at the cheek, the widest point on the bottom there. So I put the tip of the pencil at the beginning and I pinch it where it ends. That's the base. And from this part of the hair, this angle, you see I lean it against the face there. Let's move it across. There's my angle, approximate angle. So there's our basic block of the head right there. Now I'm going to put some more elevation lines going across. Now this head's a little bit more challenging because it's at a tilt. So, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna take this off here. I'm gonna tilt it so that it's actually, the head is actually more symmetrical. That's better. Let's try that. I think it's going to be a better demonstration for you guys. So you notice the basic shape of the head is like an egg right there. Let's go ahead and put that egg shape in there. There's the shape of the skull, or the cranium, the head. So comparing, contrasting. And now when I draw these elevation lines, so going across, there's my eyebrows, there's the eyes right there, the tip of the nose will be right there. Going straight across, there's our lip, top of our lip, there's the bottom of the lip. So we got our major lines here. Eyes, eyebrows, top of the eyes, bottom of the eyes, tip of the nose, upper lip, lower lip, and also maybe the teeth right there. That's the top of the teeth right there. And then we're going to draw a line down the middle here. Connect the chin to between the eyes. There's a slight tilt there. So I'm going to put a slight tilt into this line right there. A little bit of an angle, not perfectly 90 degrees. Wow, look at that. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to draw in the eyes, and let's see, look at the space between the eyes. You can measure it with your pencil. So that is approximately the space between the eyes. And here's the shape of the nose. So I'm gonna do just outline of the nose. There's a center of the nose. There's the tip at the front. There's the curvature of the front tip of the nose, and it goes up. And there's the nostril right there. And then there's the other nostril, which is going to be a little pumpkin, watermelon seed right there, and then the side of the nostril flares up, goes up. Now we can do the eyes. I'm going to start off with just like a leaf-like elliptical shape, and see here, this is where the eyes were, so we're going to start off with this basic shape. I'm not going to do any of the eyebrows or the eyelashes right now. Simple shapes to begin with. Just trying to get the basic shapes, build from larger shapes to more detail. Okay, so there's our basic shape for the eye. We got the space, correct space in between. Then we're going to draw the pupil, the iris and pupil. And that's good. And then we're going to draw the eyelid. So there's like a little fold of the eyes right above, echoing the top of the other side. Okay, there's that slight eyelid fold right there. Okay, and then we can block in our eyebrows. And you see how the eyebrows kind of echo the shape of the eyes. The shape, so it goes up and down, up and down. And the other side echoes the shape of the, okay, tapers off to the corner. I do see something here, which is, you notice the space between the left side, there's more of it than the other side. See that distance? So I'm going to move the head out just a little bit on the left, make sure I have enough, make sure that's showing. We do have that space. Okay, then we're going to draw, let's see, the bangs in the front. So, okay, and then we're going to just draw a line going across, following. Now, some people, they don't do these elevation lines. Sometimes they just eyeball it and they kind of, go with it instead of drawing these lines across. I just want to show it to you because I think it's very helpful for beginning artists to kind of analyze and see proportions in this way. And later on, once you practice this over and over again, you just get better and better at this. So you can use it whenever you need it. So now with the bangs, I can go in and draw the negative space. You see the space in between where the hair is moving into parted, little space in between, just a few here. Create some variations. Okay, the ear, let's draw across the ear. And I'm just going to start off with a semicircle shape. And I'm going to draw the little dark shadow space in between. So in a way, I'm trying to drawing my own coloring book in a way. See the little neck right there coming down. I'll draw that down. And here's the turtleneck. We'll just draw the turtleneck going up. And then the hair coming down. And with the hair, I don't do individual strands. I do shapes. Look at the shape of the outside of the hair. Okay. And then it connects with our measurements up there on the top there. It slopes up. And on the other side, it slopes down. Now, this is a kind of an interesting spot right here, the left side of the image of the portrait. So here, I'm just going to take a little drawing walk down the side of that chin. Notice the details. There's the muscle of the chin straining because of the smile, comes down. Okay, then it follows down, tapers into the chin of the skull. And then it finishes out at the neck. There you go. And today our focus is on the portrait, correct? So we're really focused on that rather than hair and the turtleneck. We're going to do the same thing on the bottom here. We're just going to get the basic shape. All right, there we go. Next, we're going to go into the mouth, which is, it is kind of tilted slightly. There's an illusion here, let's see. So in the center, okay, we're going to, there's the philtrum, the space between the tip of the nose and the top of the mouth. We're going to start off with a little dip, a little hill on the right side. Comes down. And what is the width of the mouth? So if I draw an imaginary line going up, you notice how it kind of, vertical line, it meets the iris pupil. So that is the width of the mouth here. And on the other side, wow, it's kind of similar. It's like, that's my dimension for the lips. So it goes up and down. And let's draw the other side, same thing, up and down. Tapers to a corner. And on the bottom, we're going to just draw a curved line going across and then connecting to the other end. And then we're going to draw that bottom lip shape. And then there you go. I think this is a good start. So we have our gray tone paper, we have our basic lines of our shapes and values. So now I want to show you the next step, okay, which is I want to go through here and look at where are I know what my base tone is, which is probably like this shade right here. And some of you can take a picture with your cell phone and make it black and white, your photograph, get rid of color, and you'll see the average value of the middle tone, not the darks, these are the super dark areas, not the super light areas, these are the real highlight areas of the image. So we've established kind of our starting middle value. So now I'm going to go in and try to capture some of the darker shades, okay? So I'm going to use this piece of paper and go into, let's see, the hair area. And I'm going to press just a little bit harder, a little bit more material, the graphite. And I won't go like completely black yet. I'm just going to make it a darker shade. And what I'm looking at is where do I actually see these darker shades, okay? And this is where you train your eye to evaluate the lighting, the relationship and the harmony, the balance of lighting within your piece. And what's nice about this is sometimes as artists we're very intuitive and kind of emotional or expressive, and this exercise is kind of more analytical, more logical, kind of objective. You know, it's kind of looking at it for just what it is, just shapes, forms, and light and dark. And if this is the first time you've done this, don't worry about making a mistake. It takes practice, and okay, so I'm going for my darks. Where are the dark lights in here? Not the highlights, not the middle grays, but just the dark areas. So this is darker, kind of sweeps up. Look at that. Start to see some of the definition coming in, some of the contrast. As you work with your shadow or your shading techniques, you'll start to notice that your lines start to disappear. It becomes more about light and dark rather than lines. And this is where our work, the hard work on describing that side of that cheek, this is where it really pays off. So look at how this area becomes lighter by virtue of comparing to the shadow areas. I'm going to follow that down, take my time. You want to sharpen your pencil every once in a while. It's a process. It's a process. We don't just snap our fingers and instant drawing. It takes process and a technique to get there. And I'm showing you step by step. You can stop the video, slow down the video, rewatch the video if you want. Okay, I'm going to leave the hair alone. Now I'm going to go into the eyebrows and kind of coloring in with light and darks. Not with color, actual color, but just before you get into color, this is a really good exercise to hone your skills of light and dark, because it's a property of color that will help you understand color as well. Okay, so let's just block in our darks. We're going to bring out some of the grays here. Now, if you notice the eyes, it's the iris on the outside of the iris. It's a little bit darker. There's like this. Okay, I want to make sure I get that in there. I want to make sure that the iris is even on both sides. Look at, there's the makeup now. Let's go ahead and, is that mascara? I'm not sure. Bring out the little lines of the eyelashes. But just on the corner of the eyes, you see that darkness? It's like this, and now the other side, correspondingly, there's the dark on the corner of the eyes. Not as much as the other side, but, and the little rays, the little eyelash strokes a little bit darker. And on the corner, it's just slightly darker. And remember from the studies of the sphere of the ball that to create that three-dimensional look, curvature, that curve, we add a little bit of light and dark gradients, transition of lights and darks from the corners. Now, underneath the nose, the nostrils, they're recessed, it's hidden, so light has a hard time getting back there, so it is gray, it is a little bit darker. Leave that alone for right now. And then go into the teeth, and with the teeth, I'm just going to be careful not putting in too much detail of the teeth. I'm just going to go with, I'm not going to draw the teeth, I'm going to define the shadow around the teeth. Okay, so that you see that dark area right there. So that's what I'm trying to shade in with my darks. I don't want to put little chiclet teeth or little lines between the teeth. No, that's not good. At this point, we're going to stick with the shadow within the mouth and the teeth there. area. Okay, so let's take a stop and take a look. So there's our beginning point. And if you want to take a little Q-tip, you can help to blend down some of those darker areas, soften it up if you like. So it's a little bit of darker area down here, so I can I'll leave the shadow in the mouth alone because it's so harsh, it's pretty strong. All right, what do you think? Isn't it, it's kind of cool, isn't it? It's like the background is not white, therefore the highlights that we put into this is really going to come forward. And that's our next step. We're going to take an eraser and you know, what I'm going to do is focus in on where are the highlights, the lighter areas within this portrait, okay? So I'm going to block those in. I don't care about super details, I just worry about large areas of, so I'm going to go in there and notice where are the highlights. And highlights are connected like shadows. They kind of connect to each other a lot of the time. So I'm going to just flow down the light on this side of the face. Look at that little bit of highlight on the top of that eye right there. That shows that that eyeball is three-dimensional and has a roundness to it that's protruding outward. So I'm going to, it's catching the light a little bit. I'm going to bring that in, come back into the side, and then bring in the highlights of the, and look at that muscle straining, that cheek muscle. Look at that. It's pulling up the smile. So we want to make sure we get that highlight. And then the tip of the nose bridge on the bottom part. Take your time. Don't overdo it. Sometimes we just rush through it. Notice the white of the eye. I'm going to go in and bring in the white of the eye. Wow, already look at that. Isn't that is really cool. So these three basic values, middle gray, shadows, and highlights, let's not make it too complex. Let's break that down into those three values and look at this. And as I go down, there's more shadow here, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to sweep down here. The teeth are lighter, so I'm going to bring in the white of the teeth, especially in the incisors, the front part of the teeth. So I'll focus on the front part of the teeth. The chin here, there's some light areas. You see that little light area right there? It's like a triangle. I'm going to block that in there. Shadow. On the other side, the below the eye, there's some highlights. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because that cheekbone, the occipital bone underneath, is protruding outwards, and as the muscles on top of it, as it falls off onto this side, it's darker in shadow because the light is coming from up here, or from multiple sources from this well-lit room. Okay, so this one is kind of a complex lighting situation, so you can find some more examples, better examples maybe for you to capture the lighting. This one's a little complex. And then I'm going to put some little reflected light. So you notice the lighter pieces of fabric or the floor, it's bouncing light off of surfaces, and it's bringing light back into the neck area. Okay, and then for the hair, I'll just do some strokes for the hair here. Do not overdo that. That's okay. I'm gonna on the left side. Oh, the ear. The ear is a little bit lighter at the tip. Okay. I think that's about it. That's not bad. All right. So we're gonna take a clean piece of tissue and just kind of gently just kind of wave it over, get rid of some of the crumbs or the graphite. Okay, you don't want to overdo it, ruin all your hard work. All right, now let's go back in and I'm going to get darken in the darks even further. Just Look at that, next level of dark. I don't want to get rid of all those beautiful textures that we put in there. Okay. I want to get some of the deeper, darker shadows. And I noticed something about beginning drawers. They tend to be a little bit shy about me putting in too much shadows and strong darks within your piece. And experiment, give it a try. So here, a little bit definition of the chin here. So as we put in the darker shadow, it's the recessed portion. It's further away from the light source. It's moving away from us. So that's what creates the drama. That's and some variation, some dark here. On the other side, let's push that a little bit darker. Gosh, look at that, look at that. Slow down. Some people, they ruin their beautiful line that they created by just rushing in and oversimplifying that. But be very observant. Just see it for what it is, the angle of the line. That's something I notice. Just people rush through, and if you can slow down a little bit and observe and have patience, it might not be the your most satisfying, the best example, but in the beginning, you just want to trust the process and and learn from those exercises. Okay. And it's incremental learning. You're slowly building up your skills. See that little shadow in the corner, the little triangles? Let's put those in. Some people might recommend actually drawing upside down because that helps your brain not see it as a face, but rather just as shapes and forms. And ironically, sometimes that can result in better, more accurate drawings. Okay, so let's go back into the eyes here. Now, if we look up close at the eyes, there's some catch light, which is the light of the room. The pupil is in the middle, to the middle left. I'm going to draw that darker. And as it moves to the edge of the iris, it kind of blends in a little bit. I don't want to overdo it. Okay, so there's some little defining. Okay, there we go. And then let's make those eyelashes a little bit more dramatic. Go to the other side, same thing. That is a really strong dark area right here. Let's tone down that little highlight, just barely, just shade that in just slightly. And then on the edge, we're going to draw where's the pupil? The pupil's there somewhere. There's a lot of reflections in the eye. Okay, let's move on down to the nose here. A little bit darker shadows. So we got the, this is kind of wrapping up the darker areas, okay? So we're almost done with this, okay? Made a lot of progress here, okay? You notice the far wall behind this figure, there's areas of lighter areas. So I'm gonna go ahead and just, with my eraser, bring that out a little bit more. Just the whiteness of it helps to shape the hair a little bit more. Very light. Okay. All right. So now let's go in and do some work on the base tone, this gray shadow. So over here, you notice there's some makeup or some rosy cheeks here. There's some shadow within this area. So I want to do some blending work over there. So here, some variations of the gray. So here I want to add that bronzer or that shading right there. So I want to make this cheek really feel like it's coming out. It's very strong. You see how that ball there, that egg-like shape underneath? And it's because of the shadow right here, that contouring shadow. This is what makes this highlight come forward. Okay? And you just want to slowly build up that. And there's a dimple. We can put in a subtle dimple there. Build it up. And then as the dimple, and look at that, you see that shadow right there, that highlight above the lip there, so a triangular area. So we're going to leave that area alone, but around right here we're going to shade it in, and we're moving towards the highlight. So there's the highlight, there's the middle value, there's the darker value. So we're moving from this recessed area, and it's moving up the curved plane, the surface, towards that highlight, which is near the bottom of the eye. You know what? I didn't see it. There's some shadow underneath the eye too. I'm going to put that in there, inside. So going back to the cheekbone, cheek right there. Slowly blend it in, little crosshatch motions. Very delicate. And underneath this area, the edge of the jawline. So that's what I'm going to define a little bit more. And I'm going to blend up into the cheekbone. And what makes shading in the human face is there's so many muscles underneath. Muscles, it's complex. It's a lot of architecture underneath here. Leave that area alone. Notice the corner here, there's a little bit of shadow. Let's put that darker shadow in there, darken it up a little bit. So you see it's really a lot of rhythm of lights and darks. The relationship, the rhythm of how they're connected with you, how they compare, contrast with each other, where they're located. You see this highlight right here on that lower lip? We're not gonna how can we make that look a little bit lighter? I'm gonna leave that alone for right now, but underneath I'm gonna make this area darker. So if I making the area around it darker, you are making this area lighter, because the human brain, the eye, is looking for contrast. So slowly, you don't want to make it too abrupt, the change, but just it's very delicate. You see I don't hold it like this, that creates too much pressure. I hold it at the end, gives me more delicate pressure. There you go. So I don't want to overdo it. That's good. I'm going to go in and that lower lip, I'm going to add that little bit of highlight coming across. That light coming across that protruding lower lip. What do you think so far? Are you making good progress? Is this helpful for you? Going back to the eye here, there's a highlight. Notice next to it, there's some shadow. That shadow, that shadow. So let's go ahead and put that little bit of shadow right here. And that'll make the highlight right here come forward. Okay, and then let's see. I think we're almost done here, guys. I could still work on this more and more. On the other side, where that dimple, let's put that little dimple in there. Now with dimples, if they're too dark or they, the background is too light, they just stick out like a sore thumb, so they look very awkward looking. So you want to go in here, and again, like the other side, you want to make sure this is the highlight, this is shadow. Let's go ahead and put a little bit more shadow on this side. So this is going to really emphasize the roundness of this muscle right here. Tension. This shadow. So it's a balance of lights and darks, lights and darks. I'm going to go back in and just do a little bit more definition of the lips here. So from the corner of the lips, it's a little bit darker. And as it moves to the front, you notice it gets a little bit lighter. So not as dramatic. So create some tension there. Nice. And the other side, not so much. It's a little more delicate. Let's go ahead and put that in there. And then the lips, this side is a little bit darker. I'm going to put in a little bit more shadow area right here. That really makes this part of the lip come forward. And then just one little tip for the teeth. I'm just going to go in and put in a light line for the incisors. 2 incisors, right? So right here, we're just a slight going up. Not the whole teeth. I'm not going to outline the whole teeth, just the tip. Just a little bit of it. There's the incisors. Incisor is a little bit chiseled, like a triangle. On the other side, there's the incisors. And that's it. Oh, the gum line. There's some, let's put the gum line, little triangles at the top there. Little triangles there for the gum line. There's the teeth. And go back and define the bottom of the lip a little bit more. Okay, and then I noticed something in the corners of the eyes. These are a little bit more recessed, so let's go ahead and put some shadow into the corner of the eye. So you can try this at home. You can find an image from a magazine. Sometimes your local library sells a lot of magazines with photos in them. You can print something off your printer, black and white, it's fine. And practice this with different faces and okay, we'll do more work on the hair assignment later on. This is more about the face and portrait and proportion. Light and shadow, shading really affects our perception. Let's do the inside of the ear. If I remove all the gray from the background, that's going to totally change the relationship of the face here. So in a way, this helps to balance all the highlights and all the values. I hope that makes sense. So there's a lot of other videos you can take a look at. This is just one way, a different take on an old formula technique. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right there. Man, this is so much fun, I can't stop. What is going on? I gotta stop. I mean, I can't keep this video going on and on. I'm satisfied with this as it is. So I'll stop this video, and I hope you enjoyed this video. This was fun to do and just talk about, explain why we do certain things, and then demonstrating this technique for you. And I hope it can help you improve your skills with drawing portraits. There's so many different techniques out there. It's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna stop. All right. So, oh, by the way, make sure you put your initials and the date on your drawing. So later on, when you look back on your drawings, you can say, hey, this is where I started, or this is my progress at that point, and you can look back and compare and contrast to see evidence of your development as an artist.